Hello and welcome to JROCK'S Babylon. This is JROCK'S Babylon news for August 21st, 2025. And to start off today, I am, as usual, your host, Jason J. Rock Houston. And today we're going to be talking about the fact that Motley Crue guitarist John Five recently announced plans to do a tour, a solo tour 50 states in 50 days. Now, as you can imagine, that's a pretty grueling, type of, event to take on. And so, I was reading that previously other artists have talked about doing this, but it was actually George Thorogood back in 1981 who did a similar thing. And again, John is talking about the fact that the tour is set to kick off in Alaska this October, and a lot of things. So he says, to do a tour like that, 50 states in 50 days, he says, you got to be able to have backup, tax backup. He says the only thing on the tour that's not going to really be replaceable, obviously, is the talent of John Five. Which is just kind of really amazing. To tackle the grueling schedule, the tour will be in line with backups for everything from backup techs, like I said, backup tour bus drivers. So again, it's going to be a big expensive thing for John Five. And again, it said in 1981, George Thorogood and the Destroyers toured 50 states in 50 days. Now, when George Thorogood did it, he squeezed in 51 shows by playing Washington, D.C., Maryland on the same day. So that's pretty amazing, And so the John Five tour is a pretty grueling, big thing that he's taken on. But again, people over the years, of course, have seen John Five play with everybody from Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, David Lee Roth, Rob Halford, Rob Zombie, I think I mentioned. And so this is a chance to really get to see him do his solo thing. And John is just an amazing player. And, he joined Motley Crue, of course, a few years back, replacing a legendary original Motley Crue guitarist, Mick Mars. And they put out a 3-song EP with John called Canceled. Now it's a lot of stuff going on with Motley Crue, these days. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of talk. They were reports were that they were supposed to take part in Ozzy's farewell tour, the big Black Sabbath farewell tour before Ozzy died. Or I should say the show in Birmingham, England, the Back to the Beginning show. And it was reported that the reason they didn't take part is because one of the band members has been dealing with some serious health issues. Excuse me now. Of course, those reports, all reports indicate that the one dealing with the health issues is singer Vince Neil, of course, who's been for years struggling with alcohol addiction. They all struggle with drugs and alcohols over years, but Vince in particular, through the years, he's just been on and off the wagon dealing with this alcohol addiction, but he just doesn't seem to be able to kick. And the thing of it is, it's gone so much to the point of, I guess, really affected not just his health, but his singing, his performance, and everything, that Motley Crue has not been able to tour. They were rumored to be planning to do a residency, and up until just a few months back, it was reported that Motley Crue had been going in the studio working on some new music with plans for a new studio album, a full-length album by the end of the year. It seems as those plans have been put on hold now because of all the stuff that Vince Neil is apparently dealing with, his struggles with alcohol. Again, it's affecting his performance, the way he sings. So from all accounts that Motley Crue has put a hold on future live shows, future they scrapped any plans they've had of doing any new music, because I guess Vince's performance is just not up to what it once was. It's not up to par. And I think Nikki Sixx and Tommy and John are probably kind of sitting around deciding what to do. And ultimately, of course, it's up to Nikki and Tommy. They're the sole original members that are left, Motley Crue. And there's been a lot of talk and rumblings that one name that keeps coming up is if they decide to carry on with the new singer is Scott Stapp from Creed. And they talk if they do go do some new music, he may be the guy, but nothing is official as of yet. And so that's pretty interesting. When I heard about this tour that John 5 will be doing, 50 states in 50 days. So let's if you're a John 5 fan, you're gonna want to go check that out. Now, some real major news that all the metal fans are talking about out there is, of course, on August 14th, 2025, Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine came out and he announced to the world that that Megadeth is going to go on one final tour. It will be their farewell tour, I guess this time for real. You may remember a number of years ago that Megadeth at the time they called it a day. Because Dave Mustaine at that time, he had a serious hand injury. He never thought he'd be able to play again. Luckily, that was just a temporary thing. I guess his injury wasn't as bad. He was able to recover from it. That's a good thing. Came back and Megadeth had life for a few more years. And I think they're gonna call it a day. As Dave Mustaine has recently announced, hey, let's go out on a high note. So there will be one final album coming out. I believe the word is the album's supposed to drop sometime in February of 2026. And then the band will embark on a world tour. And from all accounts, Dave Mustaine's talking about, it may be a tour that takes them around the world, maybe, last a year or two to say goodbye to all the Megadeth fans. And so that's a pretty cool thing, sad because again, the older we get, a lot of our bands, our heroes are either sadly dying out, or a lot of these bands are calling it a day. Another great legendary band that decided they were going to call it a day. Let's see. Of course, Aerosmith, they called it a day a number of years ago. They haven't toured since. I heard Joe Perry recently come out and talk about he would love to do one more final Aerosmith show because originally they were supposed to go on a farewell tour, and Steven Tyler had issues with his voice. And Joe Perry recently come out and said that he'd like to do one more kind of last official Aerosmith show because he didn't like the way the farewell tour kind of had to be canceled and all that because of Steven's health issues. He's also got issues with his singing and that. So and a lot of other great bands. We grew up on. Kiss called it a day. In 2023, I believe. It's been about 2 years since they played their final show. They got a big event coming up this November in Las Vegas. It's they're calling it Kiss Cruise, but it's going to be in a big hotel there. So speaking of Kiss, and oddly enough, we are in August 2025. This month, as we're sitting here speaking, President Donald Trump named Kiss as one of the artists that is going to be awarded Kennedy Center Honors, later this year, and that's a pretty big honor. Typically, you don't think of a band like Kiss being honored by the Kennedy Center, but again, it's a pretty fun thing. I've heard Led Zeppelin got in, The Who. I remember when Led Zeppelin got in a number of years ago that Hart performed a couple of Led Zeppelin songs. That was a real fun thing. So anytime Kiss is honored, I'm all for that. Again, Kiss is celebrating 50 years together. Again, what a way to go on on a high note. And according to what I heard, in addition to Kiss, these are other people being honored. Gloria Gaynor, actor Sylvester Stallone, Michael Crawford, I believe George Strait. So again, just the gamut of people being honored from a different entertainment fields. That's great, that these people are finally being recognized. So that is the news, folks, for today, August 21st, 2025. And so stay tuned to watching the JROCK'S Babylon channel, because in the next couple days we're going to have several interviews that are scheduled to happen that will be be posted for you. Now, in case you guys didn't get a chance, I want you to check out. You can go to JROCK'S Babylon Facebook page or our YouTube page, and please subscribe. Check out all our shows we have going up. We just launched this month in August, and there's going to be a lot more shows on the way, a lot more great interviews. Now, as I was saying, I did a great interview with David Reese. I urge you guys to check that out. David Reese is a really cool, nice guy, and as you'll see me and Dave talk about in the interview, me and him go way back. It's the first time I've interviewed Dave in years. So first time I actually interviewed him over Zoom. Previously, I did it over the phone, and it's just a totally different experience getting to interview him this way. I also did an interview with Red Voodoo singer Dino Wild. Okay, so you can check that out. Now, in the coming days, tomorrow I'll be doing an interview with Babylon AD singer Derek Davis. We were supposed to do an interview last night, but we had to reschedule. There's a little mix-up, but we will be interviewing Derek, and it should be going up tomorrow night. And also, I will be interviewing Hereafter and Corners of Sanctuary guitarist Mick Michaels, another longtime friend of mine. This Saturday, talk about his band Hereafter and some other things he's involved in. So I always have fun talking to Mick Michaels. He's a super cool guy. I mean, nice guy all around. He's super talented. One thing I say about Mick, I mean, he's just got a real knack not only for guitar playing, but he's a great songwriter. And Corners of Sanctuary, his other band, I urge you guys to check out, because I know they're probably currently working on their Christmas song or a Christmas music for 2025. Corners of Sanctuary, over the last several years, they really got into creating great Christmas metal music. And so that's another fun aspect of what Mick Michaels does. And I always enjoy talking to Mike. I really enjoyed launching JROCK'S Babylon here. So keep it tuned, and we're going to try to pump out as much new material as we can for you guys. So let us know what you think. We'll see you on Facebook, and take care. And thanks for checking it out. Love everybody. Take care, my friends. Bye for now.